Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Mohammed Ahsan Qureshi, and today we will be discussing about the organizational culture and environment in this lecture. Let's starting from the slides. Let me please screen share. I hope you have got the screens. So management, organizational culture, and environment. In this lecture, we will be discussing about the manager's omnipotent and symbolic view of management, organization culture, and the current organization culture issues which are facing by the managers, and what is the environment and what are the environmental factors which affect the organization culture and managers. And so, starting from the our first topic, that the omnipotent or symbolic manager. omnipotent व्यू ऑफ मैनेजमेंट, omnipotent का जो मतलब है वो है मुक्तदिर, मतलब कि जिसके पास बेशुमार पावर है, having unlimited power, omnipotent view. So omnipotent टाइप मैनेजर्स के पास क्या है और वो क्या मैनेजर्स हैं? The managers are directly responsible for an organization's success or failure. Managers are directly, omnipotent managers are directly responsible for an organization's success or failure. The quality of the organization is determined by the quality of its managers. The quality of the organization is determined by the quality of its manager. डेफिनेटली देखें, अब मैनेजर जो है वो किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का एक ड्राइवर होता है, लीडर होता है. देयर इज द कंसेप्ट. अच्छा, एक और यहाँ पे मैं आपको एक कंसेप्ट बताऊं. तो बिजनेस के अंदर बॉस नहीं होता, बिजनेस के अंदर लीडरशिप का कॉन्सेप्ट है, और लीडरशिप के ऊपर पूरी टीम डिपेंड करती है. जिस तरह पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट टीम की आप बात करें तो कोच या जो कप्तान है उनका बहुत बड़ा इफेक्ट पड़ता है पूरी टीम की सक्सेस या फेलियर पे. सेम लाइक दैट मैनेजर्स आर द टीम लीडर्स, मैनेजर्स आर द लीडर्स ऑफ देयर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस on which the whole organization success or failure can depend. So managers are held accountable for an organization's performance, yet it is difficult to attribute good or poor performance directly to their influence on the organization. अब जो भी मैनेजर करता है, जो वो डिसीजन ले रहा है, जो भी उसके इख्तियार में है और वो अपनी पावर्स के साथ जो भी अपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहा है, वो हर एक चीज़ के लिए अकाउंटेबल है. Managers are held accountable for an organization's performance, yet it is difficult to attribute good or poor performance directly to their influence on the organization. इसको हम लोग अगर ये कहें कि द ट्रेडिशनल व्यू ऑफ मैनेजर इज दैट दे हैव वेरी अनलिमिटेड कंट्रोल over the organization and its purpose, functions, and operations, and therefore they alone are responsible for all its success and failure. This view is called omnipotent view of management. Next comes the symbolic view of management. Symbolic view of management is much of an organization's success or failure is due to external forces outside of manager's control. इसके अंदर हमारे पास मैनेजर के पास इतना इख्तियार नहीं होता जितना कि omnipotent मैनेजर में होता है. Much of the organization success or failure is due to external forces of managers' control. The ability of managers to affect outcomes is influenced and constrained by external force. अब वो एक्सटर्नल फोर्स क्या हो सकती हैं उनको हम डिस्कस करते हैं. एक्सटर्नल फोर्स पे बी द इकोनॉमी, customers, governmental policies, competitors, industry conditions, technology, and the actions of the previous managers. डेफिनेटली इकोनॉमी का यहाँ पे क्या कंसर्न है कि अब आपके मुल्क की इकोनॉमी स्ट्रांग है, वीक है, या जो आप इन्वेस्टमेंट जहाँ जिस मुल्क में कर रही हैं जो भी है, तो वो इकोनॉमी पे बहुत डिपेंड करता है। इकोनॉमी पे आपकी बिजनेस डील कर रही है कि आप अगर इकोनॉमी स्ट्रांग है तो डेफिनेटली यू विल गेट सम प्रॉफिट। इफ इकोनॉमी गेट डाउन, ऑल बिजनेस विल बी डाउन। कस्टमर्स कस्टमर आपकी कंपनी छोड़ के किसी और कंपनी के पास चला गया, वो भी एक लॉस है। वो भी मैनेजर कंट्रोल में नहीं है, इकोनॉमी भी मैनेजर के कंट्रोल में नहीं है, गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज भी मैनेजमेंट के कंट्रोल में नहीं है कि क्या गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसी बनाती है कि उस पॉलिसी में आपका सर्वाइवल कितना आसान है। कंपटीटर्स आप पे किस तरह की स्ट्रेटेजी बना के मार्केट में आ रहे हैं कि आपको compete करने के लिए क्या स्ट्रेटेजीज बनानी पड़ेंगी, या वो स्ट्रेटेजीज या जो करंट सिचुएशन है वो आपके कंट्रोल में नहीं है। इंडस्ट्री कंडीशंस हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी। अब इंडस्ट्री की कंडीशन, आपकी अपनी जो कंडीशन इंडस्ट्री की है, आपने किस लेवल पर अपने आप को स्टेबल रखा हुआ है, दिस इज ऑल अगेन नॉट इन योर कंट्रोल। टेक्नोलॉजी आपके कंट्रोल में नहीं है, आए दिन नई नई टेक्नोलॉजी आ रही है और आप शिफ्ट नहीं कर सकते। एंड जो चेंज है, इस चेंज पे हम आगे जाके बात करेंगे कि अगर सडन चेंज एक्सेप्ट ना करना किस हद तक डेंजरस है, और चेंज का कितना बड़ा इम्पैक्ट है किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की सक्सेस में। एंड द एक्शंस ऑफ द प्रीवियस मैनेजर्स। अब जाहिर है जिस तरह हमारे पाकिस्तान में साबका हुक्मरानों ने करतूत किए, तो नए आने वालों को फिर उनके करतूतों को पहले साफ करना पड़ता है, भुगतना पड़ता है, और उनको भी आके फिर नए काम करते हुए, अच्छे काम करते हुए टाइम लग जाता है। तो प्रीवियस मैनेजर्स का भी रोल बहुत मैटर करता है, जो कि नए मैनेजर से कंट्रोल में नहीं होता। सो मैनेजर सिंबलाइज कंट्रोल एंड इन्फ्लुएंस थ्रू देयर एक्शन। और ये कैसे है? The symbolic view of management is the view that managers have only a limited effect on a substantive organizational outcomes because of a large number of factors outside their control. So, this was the symbolic view of management. Here in this slide, you can see the organizational environment and organizational culture are both affecting the managerial discretion. Organizational culture. Organizational culture is a set of norms, values, beliefs that people in an organization holds to each other. हमने लास्ट लेक्चर में जो चैप्टर नंबर 2 था उसमें हम लोगों ने मैनेजमेंट हिस्ट्री की बात की थी, वहाँ पर ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल बिहेवियर की बात की थी। ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल बिहेवियर भी यही था, और कल्चर जो प्रैक्टिसेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर अडॉप्ट की गई हैं और इंटरेक्शन है, और जो कोर वैल्यूज है किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की, ये वो चीज़ पे बात की जा रही है। द वे वी डू थिंग्स अराउंड हियर, वैल्यूज, सिंबल्स, रिचुअल्स, मिथ्स एंड प्रैक्टिसेस, these all are the organization's culture. Organizational culture की implications में culture is a perception, culture is shared, culture is descriptive. And डायमेंशन ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कल्चर से हम बात करें तो एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कल्चर किन किन चीज़ों पर डिपेंड करता है। वो अटेंशन टू डिटेल, डिग्री टू विच एम्प्लॉइज आर एक्सपेक्टेड टू एग्जिबिट प्रिसीजन, एनालिसिस एंड अटेंशन टू डिटेल। आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर एम्प्लॉयज़ को कितनी डिटेल से कोई चीज़ बताई जाती है। Outcome orientation, due to which managers focus on results or outcomes rather than how these outcomes are achieved. पूरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो है वो उसकी आउटकम पे देखती है कि आउटकम क्या आना चाहिए, आउटकम क्या आएगी, लेकिन वो ये नहीं देखते कि आउटकम कैसे आनी चाहिए, कैसे अचीव कर सकते हैं। डायरेक्टली कुछ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन होती हैं जो प्रैक्टिसेस को सामने रखे बजाय जो फाइनल आपका आउटपुट है उस पर फोकस करती हैं, और वो अ, इतना पॉजिटिव नहीं होता। पीपल ओरिएंटेशन में अब ये कुछ कॉमन एट्रीब्यूट्स हैं जो हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर है। पीपल हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर है। degree to which management decisions take into account the effect on people in the organization, कि जो भी मैनेजमेंट डिसीजन ले रही है उसका उसके एम्प्लॉयज पे क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है, उससे भी आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पे बहुत बड़ा फर्क पड़ता है. Team orientation, due to which work is organized around the team rather than individuals. Aggressiveness, degree to which employees are aggressive and competitive rather than cooperative. अब वहाँ पर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर एम्प्लॉयज आपस में ही कंपटीशन में है या कॉपरेशन एनवायरनमेंट है. तो कंपटीशन अगर आपके आ जाए तो देर इज मोर एग्रेसिवनेस एंड दिस इज हार्मफुल टू द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. The ability to which organizational decision and action emphasize maintaining the status quo. Innovation and risk taking, degree to which employees are encouraged to be innovative and to risk and take risk. इन सारी चीज़ों का जो टच है वो अगले टॉपिक्स में डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स में आएगा तो हम उसको मुझे डिटेल्स डिस्कस करते हैं. Here, this is a contrasting organization culture. अब जो हमने पीछे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कल्चर की डायमेंशंस की बात की है, अब यह ये सारे फैक्टर्स या तो किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में बहुत ज़्यादा होते हैं या कुछ नहीं होते, कुछ होते हैं, उसको यहाँ पर बयान किया गया है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अटेंशन टू डिटेल. अब एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में एम्प्लॉयज़ को डिटेल्स के बारे में या हर एक और इंफॉर्मेशन के बारे में अच्छा बताया जाता है, एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में नहीं बताया जा रहा. आउटकम ओरिएंटेशन यहाँ पर लो है, ये लोग आउटकम को कम देख रहे हैं और प्रैक्टिसेस हाउ दिस कैन बी अचीव्ड उसको ज़्यादा देख रहे हैं. और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बी के अंदर आउटकम्स पे फोकस ज़्यादा है और उसकी प्रैक्टिसेस पे हाउ दे कैन अचीव दिस पर्टिकुलर आउटकम्स आर हाई. People orientation in organization is A is low and in B is high. So this is the chart you can compare about this dimension that which of the organization is A or B is doing best. Next, coming towards the organizational culture from in book page number 46, you can see easily about the organizational culture that the first culture is perception. As we have mentioned above, the culture is a perception, and perception is not something that can be physically touched or seen, but employees perceive it on the basis of what they experience within the organization. Second is the organizational culture is descriptive. It's concerned with how members perceive the culture, not with whether they like it. Finally, even though individuals may have different backgrounds to work at different organization levels, they tend to describe the organization culture in similar terms, and that's the shared aspect of the culture. In contrast, this table we can take another example like airlines. There are different airlines, and in every airline there are also the same practicing follow. So that's why on the basis of their performance matter. So coming towards the strong culture and weak cultures categories. This is the most important topic of the chapter. This is the core of this organizational culture and environment basically. So first we will be discussing about the strong culture. And strong culture are those cultures in which key values are deeply considered. Strong values like Islamic culture. Islamic culture is a strong value. You can't challenge it. You can change it. You have to follow it. It will be standard everywhere. And factors affecting the culture also depend on the organizational culture. The big the organization, the bigger the culture. Strong cultures have greater influence on employee than weak cultures. Though the more employees accept the organization key values and greater their commitment to those values, stronger will be the culture. So next we can have about why having a strong culture is important. As we know that the culture in which key values are deeply held and widely held are strong cultures and have a strong influence on organizational members. So it is important in an organization with strong cultures, employees are more loyal than employees in organizations with weak cultures. Strong cultures are associated with the high organizational performance and core values are clear and widely accepted. And same like that, there are also drawbacks of the strong cultures. Strong culture also might prevent employees from trying new approaches, especially when conditions are changing rapidly. And benefits of the strong culture can be the created a strong employee commitment to the organization, aids in the recruitment and socialization of a new employees, and high organization performance and promoting employee initiative. Factors influencing strength of culture. The size of organization, age of organization, rate of employee turnover, strength of the original culture, clarity of cultural values and beliefs. Here, the size, age, strength, and clarity of cultural values are the standard, but the rate of employee turnover is the most important and most dangerous factors which influence the strength of the culture. What we will describe a little bit about turnover. So, employee turnover refer to the number of percentage employee turnover refer to the number or percentage of workers who leave the organization and are replaced by new employees. More turnover will cause weak the culture, and employee leave is a negative thing. So we can elaborate it from a video. We have yeah. So please have a look on the video, which is describing about the employee turnover, and you will get a clear idea about this. That is the most important factor in simply influencing the organization culture. So we have to elaborate on this.
In human resource terms, employee turnover is a measurement of how long your employees stay with your company and how often you have to replace them. Anytime an employee leaves your company for any reason, they are called a turnover or separation. Employee turnover is calculated by dividing separations by the total staff. Employee turnover equals number of separations divided by average number of employees. Generally, it is stated as an annual percentage. If you lost 3 staffers in the past year out of your staff of 46, your annual turnover would be employee turnover equals 3 separations divided by 46 employees equals 0.0652 equals 6.52% annual turnover. If instead you had 3 staffers quit last month and your total team is 46 employees, your turnover rate would be employee turnover equals 3 separations in a month divided by 46 employees equals 0.0652 equals 6.52% monthly. You would multiply this by 12 to calculate an annual rate, which assumes the same turnover rate will continue for the entire year. 6.52% monthly times 12 months equals 78.24% annually for a loss of 3 staffers each month. At double check, if this turnover continued, we would lose 3 staffers per month, times 12 months equals 36 for the year. And if we divide the 36 turnovers by our total staff of 46, we would get 78.26%. The very slight difference is due to rounding. What does this mean to you as a manager? Well, a 78% turnover rate in a team of 46 people means that you have to hire and train 36 new people a year. That is a lot of time you could be using otherwise to manage your department and improve your own skills. There are 2 main categories of turnover, voluntary and involuntary. Each of them has different causes. Voluntary turnover is when an employee quits. This can be due to finding a better position at another company, a conflict with a supervisor, or a personal reason, such as needing to stay home with a family member. Involuntary turnover is when an employee is laid off or fired, generally due to reducing staff because of a business downturn or change in business focus or because of an employee taking some action that is cause for termination, such as theft. There will be times when employees leave the company, and so a goal of 0% turnover is a recipe for disappointment. To come up with a level that is reasonable, companies often look to industry averages. A goal might be to keep turnover to a level no higher than the average for the industry. They might also come up with some additional metrics based on a level of responsibility. So, for example, the turnover for audit staff in an accounting firm might be evaluated separately from that of the audit partners. The specific impact of replacing an employee varies based on many factors, including the difficulty of filling the position, the amount of training required for a new employee, and specific costs such as recruiter fees or advertisements. In the fast food industry, it may be necessary to fill some positions every few months or even more frequently. Workers in this industry tend to be unskilled and may change positions often since there are many similar options available. In terms of cost, these positions generally require limited training to reach full productivity, so replacing personnel will not tend to have much impact on the business. On the other hand, company presidents have often been with the same company for much of their career and tend to be in the position for years, leading to very low turnover in that position. When a company president leaves, a tremendous amount of skill and knowledge will leave, which can impact the business for years to come. Turnover costs can be both direct and indirect. Direct turnover costs would include the cost to locate, hire, and train a new employee to fill the position that was vacated. It also includes payment for unemployment and COBRA insurance for employees who no longer work for the company. Indirect costs can be harder to quantify and include things like lost sales or customers due to inexperienced staff or being short-staffed, lost knowledge of company operations that has to be recreated later, and the impact on morale of people leaving the company. One of the best ways to prevent turnover is to hire the right person in the first place. This requires writing a clear job description, defining the necessary skills and strengths to perform the position well, rigorous interviewing and reference checks, and training to make sure the position requirements are clearly understood. Once employees are hired, turnover can be reduced through fair compensation and benefits as compared to other similar positions available, and by making a position as good a fit as possible by being flexible to employee needs and providing interesting career paths. To make sure that the company is doing a good job in these areas, many companies survey their competitors on a regular basis and conduct exit interviews with employees leaving voluntarily to understand why they decided to leave. Let's review. Employee turnover is a measurement of how long your employees stay with your company and how often you have to replace them. When an employee leaves your company, it is turnover or separation. Employee turnover is calculated by dividing separations by the total staff. Employee turnover equals number of separations divided by average number of employees. There are two main categories of turnover. Voluntary turnover is when an employee quits. Involuntary turnover is when an employee is laid off or fired. A goal of 0% turnover is not attainable. It is better to keep turnover to a level no higher than the average for the industry. Direct turnover costs would include the cost to locate, hire, and train a new employee. Indirect costs include things like lost sales or customers. One of the best ways to prevent turnover is to hire the right person in the first place, which can be accomplished if you write a clear job description, define the necessary skills and strengths, conduct rigorous interviews and reference checks, provide training to make sure the position requirements are clearly understood. Turnover can be reduced through offering fair compensation and benefits, being flexible to employee needs, surveying competitors, conducting exit interviews.
Okay, so you have a concept about the strong employee turnover, and now we will be discussing Some characteristics of strong culture. Strong culture, number one characteristic of the strong culture is the culture reinforcing tools. It means that these includes like symbols, languages, behavioral rules, and policies. Strong culture use these tools to produce extraordinary performance from the extraordinary people. So the next comes about the intensely people oriented, treating employee with dignity and respect, granting employee enough autonomy to excel and contribute, setting clear performance standards for all employees. The third characteristic of a strong culture is result oriented. High performance cultures invest more time and resource to ensure that employees who excel and achieve performance targets and rewarded. Number four, the emphasis on achievement and excellence. Management pursues practice and policies and invest necessary resources to inspire people to do their best. Now, coming towards a short look on weak culture. A weak a culture is weak when its beliefs, behavioral tools, traditions, and rituals are not apparent to its members or there is incongruence between stated value and behavior. This can happen for a variety of reasons with no knowledge of what the organization stands for or how things are actually done. Weak culture work against the success of an organization. Some of the characteristics of weak culture are the narrow and isolated thinking. Number two, their resistance to change. The last thing we discussed in the early topic. The number three, political internal environment. And number four, unhealthy promotion practices. So, at the end of this strong culture and weak culture discussion, I would like to share another video which is totally based on the strong and weak organization. This is an example video. It will be overview the topic. Please have a look on this video and this is the strong versus weak organization cultures with an example.
Kurt counts cartons of ketchup. Kurt is in charge of quality control at Kelly's Ketchup Factory, and his job is to make sure every ketchup bottle is full, every label is straight, every cap is on tight, and every carton is full before he ships them to his customers. Murray mixes mustard. She works for Murray's Mustard Company, and her job is to combine the exact amounts of vinegar, water, spices, and mustard seed to make every batch of Murray's mustard the best it can be. These two companies are similar in many ways. Both have been making an American condiment for a long time. Both companies have cultures with similar core values. They both want to make the best product possible and make it affordable for the average consumer. There is a big difference in the strength of cultures of these two companies, however. Let's find out the differences between the strong organizational culture of Kelly's Ketchup and the weak organizational culture of Murray's Mustard, and how these differences affect the day-to-day operations of the employees of these two companies. First, let's define organizational culture. Every organization has a unique culture, the same way every person has a unique personality. Organizational culture is a system of shared assumptions, values, and beliefs that governs how people behave in organizations. The culture of an organization is determined by the values placed on a set of characteristics such as risk orientation and attention to detail. If there is a high level of agreement and commitment among the members of an organization on the importance of these values, their organization has a strong culture. An organization in which members do not agree with the core values or are not committed to the core values has a weak culture. The president of Kelly's Ketchup believes that it is very important that every bottle of ketchup that leaves his plant is made exactly the same way. He believes that producing a consistently high-quality product is very important to the consumers who buy his ketchup. He acts as a role model for a high level of consistency by performing his job with great precision. The president shares this belief with everyone who works at Kelly's Ketchup and provides ways for employees to measure their success at meeting this high standard. The workers on the production line are paid bonuses for every batch of ketchup they produce without a defect. Attention to detail is one of the core values of the culture at Kelly's Ketchup. And by aligning the employees' values to his, the president has created a very strong culture of production accuracy at Kelly's Ketchup. This strong culture exists because almost everyone who works for Kelly's Ketchup agrees with the importance of producing a consistently high-quality product. Every employee knows that it is part of their job to make sure that every bottle of ketchup they produce will look and taste exactly the same. Any worker can stop the production line for any reason, anytime they notice something is wrong with the product. Shared values that are widely held by the employees provide a strong culture at Kelly's Ketchup. This strong culture acts like a strong wind that guides all the members of this organization along a similar path to reach the common goals of the organization. Like the wind that pushes a sail, the strong culture is invisible but very powerful. Murray's Mustard also has a core value of attention to detail. Like Kelly's Ketchup, the president of Murray's Mustard also believes in the importance of making a consistently high-quality product. Unlike Kelly's Ketchup, the president of Murray's Mustard has only explained the importance of this attention to detail with a few of his vice presidents. The rest of the members of the organization have no idea that it is important for them to strive towards creating a consistent product. Since the weak culture of Murray's Mustard provides very little guidance, employees on the mustard production line are not always sure what they should do if they notice a mustard jar that is half full or missing a label. Murray once noticed that the vinegar she was using was past its expiration date and had an unusually strong odor. Murray reported this to her supervisor, who filled out a report and sent it to the purchasing department to notify them that they had purchased outdated vinegar. Murray used the old vinegar in her batch of mustard and stopped paying attention to the expiration dates on the ingredients she used. Companies with weak cultures provide vague and inconsistent guidelines for the behavior of their employees. Instead of knowing what to do by following the boundaries set by the culture, members of organizations with weak cultures use a set of formal written rules that are sometimes inconsistent with the company's goals. Instead of instinctually knowing the right thing to do when faced with a decision, members of organizations must stop and check the rules of the organization to see if they are doing the right thing. A strong organizational culture works like a strong social glue, which bonds members of an organization together through shared goals. This builds loyalty and commitment among the group and makes them less likely to leave their tight-knit organization. Although organizations with strong cultures experience less turnover, it doesn't mean that a strong culture is better than a weak culture in every instance. A strong culture is difficult to change in an organization and can stifle innovation because members of the organization are used to doing their jobs exactly the same way. Weak cultures can be advantageous for organizations that benefit from independent thought and innovation by their members. In an unstable environment, organizations with weak cultures often function better than organizations with strong cultures because they are much more adaptable to change. In order for an organization to succeed, the culture of that organization must fit the environment in which it operates. Let's review. The culture of an organization can be weak or strong. In organizations with strong cultures, the majority of the members are committed to the core values of the organization. This shared sense of commitment acts like a social glue, which bonds members of the organization together, provides guidelines for their behavior, and makes them less likely to leave the group. In organizations with weak cultures, the majority of the members are not aware of the core values of the organization and do not have the guidelines that a strong culture provides to guide their decisions. Instead of instinctually knowing what to do when faced with decisions, members of organizations with weak cultures must follow a set of sometimes vague and inconsistent written rules. Although a strong culture can be an asset to an organization, it is not always the type of culture that functions best. Weak cultures can be advantageous to organizations that operate in unstable environments because they are more adaptable to changing conditions.
Okay, so I hope you have got a clear idea about the strong culture and weak culture. So let us a comparison of strong culture and weak culture. In strong culture, you can see that the values are widely shared, and in weak culture, the values are limited to a few people, usually top management. This means that the people in the top management of strong cultured organizations totally convey the information to the low level management, and each and every employee know all about the core values and information and important information about the product and about the services they are going to provide. And but in weak cultural organization, employees don't know what they are doing, why they are doing, and what will be the outcome of the product. Again, the culture conveys a consistent message about what's important, and culture sends contradictory messages about what's important. So again, this is the clarity of the employees for the task in the strong culture organizations. The employee knows about the clear message, and in weak culture, the employees is in confusion. What 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 have to do? Then most employees can tell stories about the company, histories and heroes in a strong culture organization, so that the employees know about the historical perspective of organizations, and employees have little knowledge of the company history or heroes in weak culture organizations. So that's not good, because the knowledge of the organization, the core value, the past of the organization should be known by the employee. Employees strongly identify the culture, and employees have little identification with culture. Again, the culture is the norm and rules which are following, which are interaction with people followed by the organization. So this is the most important factor which should be known by the employee, and this is discussed in the strong cultured organizations. Strong connection between shared values and behaviors, and little connection between shared values and behaviors. So this is again the core concept, that the strong culture organization have the shared values and behaviors, that these all are the equal in that organization, and these all are the social and human skills in the strong culture organization. But in the weak culture organization, everything is isolated, and there is no shared value, no socialism, and no common behavior. So this was all about the strong and weak culture organizations. So next come how employees can learn culture. So if the culture is the most important thing, and this is the duty of the organization to let the employee know about his culture. So as we earlier discussed, that the strong culture organizations can tell stories about company histories and heroes. And in weak culture, there is not a such thing like that. So stories, you have to tell stories about your his company's history, and to know employee the narratives of significant events or actions of people that convey a spirit of the organization. You have to tell those stories to inspire the employee, and the practices followed before their joining, and how they have to do this now. Rituals Rituals are the repetitive sequence of activities that express and reinforce the value of the organization. Rituals is basically repetitive sequence of activities. There is not a particular value, particular law that you have to do this. Ritual is a common practice which is under consideration, and you follow that. Material symbols, physical assets, distribution, organization, language, the acronym, the jargon of terms, phrases, and word meanings specific to an organization. These are all the aspects of a culture which I should learn. How culture affects managers, culture constraints for managers, whatever managerial actions the organization recognizes as proper or improper on its behalf. यहाँ पर से ये बात की है कि जो भी आपका मैनेजर डिसीजन लेता है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए, वो फिर उसके बिहाफ पर Could your organization depends here? Whatever organizational activities organization values and encourages. The overall strength or weakness of the organization culture. These are the factors which are depend on the manager, and manager has to take decision about this culture. How an organization's culture is established and maintained. Philosophy of the organization founder. Basically, there is a vision and mission of the founder of the organization and selection criteria of the employees and the organization culture. In between, there is a top management and socialization of the employees to get a social organization's culture. So, in here we will see in managerial decisions affected by the culture. These are the basically issues which are facing by managers. That is planning, the degree of risk that plans should contain, whether plans should be developed by individuals or teams, the degree of environmental standing in which management will engage. As we earlier discussed in the chapter number one, that planning, organizing, leading, controlling are the core management. These all factors combined together to form management. So these are the managerial decisions. Manager have to plan, manager have to organize, he have to lead, he have to control, and this is all affected by the culture. As culture varies, planning varies, organizing varies, leading varies, and controlling varies. So that's why all about the managerial decision varies, and these all combine to form an organization culture. So, what are the core organization culture issues? Some of important factors are mentioned here. That is creating an ethical culture. In this high risk tolerance, low and moderate aggressiveness, focus on means as well as outcomes, and creative and innovative culture, challenge and involvement, freedom, trust and openness, idea time, conflict resolution, debate, risk taking, playfulness, and humor. The one of them is the diversity. We will discussing about the diversity, and in diversity, there is basically the different range of the people from different areas and different companies. Many companies pride themselves on having a diverse workforce on that is made of individuals with a wide range of characteristics and experiences. Some of key characteristics of workplace diversity include race, ethnicity, gender, age, religion, ability, and country. Diversity supportive countries are good for business. Diversity contributes to more creative solutions and enhance employee morale. Taking divergent views into account while formulating policies are good points in the business. क्योंकि आप जब आपके पास टीम में जब डाइवर्सिटी होती है और डाइवर्सिटी में आपके पास हर इलाके से बंदे होंगे, तो आप सबके पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू को सुनेंगे और सबके पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू के मुताबिक डिसीजन लेंगे, तो वो एक अच्छी चीज़ है। अब इसमें सबसे पहला इशू को हम लोग जो डाइवर्सिटी को डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, तो हम लोगों को मैनेजमेंट करने पड़ते हैं डाइवर्सिटी की भी। डाइवर्सिटी में भी कई प्रॉब्लम्स आते हैं, इश्यूज आते हैं, लैंग्वेज बैरियर्स हैं, कल्चरल डिफरेंस हैं। दिस इज ऑल अबाउट डाइवर्सिटी एंड हाउ टू मैनेज वर्कफोर्स डाइवर्सिटी। सो remind them of your policies that prohibit discrimination, encourage employees to view co-workers as individuals and judge them on their work, not on personal factors. Sorry, on the issues. Yes. So encourage employees to work in diverse groups. Assure that workplace reflect the diversity of your workplace. There are five key steps to manage the workforce diversity. Emphasize communication. Ensure that all employees understand your policies, procedures, and other important information. Work to overcome language and cultural barriers. Use pictures and symbols or warning signs so that everybody can understand. View employee as individuals. Don't make assumptions about employee from different groups. Judge success and failure individually. Number three, encourage employee to work in diverse groups. Diverse work teams let employees get to know and value one another as individual. Diverse team also expand the experience and views of all the workers on a team and help them recognize of their combined talents and perspectives. Based decisions on object criteria. Number four is the base decision on objective criteria. Based on employment actions, including discipline or specific performance-related criteria, always focus on the job-related issues, not personal issues when dealing with employees. Number five, and be open-minded. Recognize and encourage employees to recognize that one's own experience are not only with value to the organization. Look for ways to incorporate diverse perspective and talents into efforts to achieve organization goals. So this is the main cultural issue, diversity, and these were some ways to manage the diversity. And again, some other issues that the customer responsive culture, hiring the right type of employee, that this is the point discussed in the employee turnover. The video you have seen, there is a mention this point. One, the strong interest in serving customers, having few rigid rules, procedures, and regulations, using widespread empowerment of employees, having good listening skills and reacting to customers' messages, providing rule clarity to employees to reduce ambiguity and conflict in increased job satisfaction, having conscious, having consciousness, caring employees willing to take initiative. Next comes the basic spiritually and organizational culture. Spiritual issue is the again more important issue. That's the workplace spirituality, a feature of a culture where organizational values promote a sense of purpose through meaningful work that take place in the context of community. Basically, spirituality is all about the inner satisfaction, the motivation level, the satisfaction level. There's a business rule that you have to work on others' development. The basic business rule is that you have to work on the others' development. If you will be self-centered, then you will not doing good business. So, true manager develop their team and work for others. इसमें सिंपल से एग्जांपल है कि जिस बिजनेसमैन है उसको बिजनेस उसका पैशन है लेकिन वो टीचिंग इसलिए कर रहा है कि उसको इससे स्पिरिचुअल सेटिस्फैक्शन मिल रही है उसको से इंटरनल सेटिस्फैक्शन मिल रही है सो दैट्स व्हाई that is the again spiritual workplace. Characteristic of the spiritual organization can be a strong sense of purpose. There must be the sense of purpose. What are you doing and what for you doing, and why are you doing? This is the purpose. Focus on individual development, trust and openness, employee empowerment, toleration of employees' expression. So, the recognition that people have an inner life that nourishes and is nourished by meaningful work that take place in the context of community is workplace spirituality. The benefits of spirituality are the improved employee productivity, reduction of employee turnover, stronger organizational performance, increased creativity, increased employee satisfaction, increased team performance, increased organizational performance. So the next is the external environment. External environment are those factors and forces outside the organization that affect the organization's performance. And we will be discussing the past analysis in the external environment. As you can understand, that the analysis in the business environment is the measurement tool is PES analysis. PES is acronym for political, economic, social, and technological factors which are used to assess a market for a business or organization unit. So, political factors may include government tax policies, change in political environment, regulation and deregulation, level of corruption. Economic factors may include stage of business cycle, impact of globalization, labor cost, likely changes in economic environment, and socio-cultural factors may include population growth rate, population health, education and social mobility, lifestyle choice and attitude towards socio-cultural changes, age and gender. Technological factors may include research and development activities, impact of emerging technologies, impact of technology transfer. There is again a next environmental issue or environmental factor is the legal factor also. Legal factor, yeah. Sorry. Legal factor and the global outside the country affect local economy. In this is global. You can say that the outside the country business can affect the local economy. These all were the external environments which affect the organization's success or failure. Okay, so the next comes the examples of the external environment. For example, the load shedding is the main issue, the factor influencing on the organizations in Pakistan. And if customers go to the other company, and it will again affect you. And immediate factors, there are something, there are two things components of the external environment. There are specific environment, external forces that have a direct and immediate impact on the organization. Immediate factor, for example, the chemical industry, if you are having a location near residential colonies and you are polluting the atmosphere, then it will cause something bad to you. Or specific environment, effect, impact on the that organization. And general environment, broad economic, socio-cultural, political, legal, demographic, technological, and global conditions that may affect the organization. These are some general issues which are standard every day. Okay, so next comes the stakeholder relationships. Any constituent in an organization environment that are affected directly or indirectly by the organization's decisions and actions are stakeholders. And why we have to manage stakeholder relationships? It can lead to improved organizational performance. It's the right thing to do given the interdependence of the organization and its external stakeholders. So, as we have discussed, the indirect and direct stakeholders directly affect stakeholders. So, if indirect pressure, indirect stakeholders, indirect effect is have least priority and direct pressure. Direct effect is have the maximum or high priority. And stakeholders, government, owners, suppliers, employees, customers, these all are the stakeholders of an organization. You can see in the chart as well. Customers, employees, unions, stakeholders, shareholders, community suppliers, media, governments, trade and industry, competitors and social political action group. Managing stakeholder relationship identifies the organization external stakeholders, determine the particular interests and concerns of the external stakeholders, decide how critical each external stakeholder is to the organization, determine how to manage each individual external stakeholder relationship. These are the some main issues of the stakeholders. So this was all about the organization culture and environment. At the end of this topic, we know the omnipotent view of the management, symbolic view of management, organization culture, strong culture, socialization, workplace specialty, external environment, specific environment, general environment, environmental uncertainty and complexity, and stakeholders. So thank you very much for watching this video, and if you have any questions, you can please comment below to the comment box. And in the next video, we will discussing the next chapter and see you soon. Thank you very much.